Hey, how's it going? I hope you're doing good. So I just came outside today. It's a really nice day here. I'm gonna see if I can turn this around. All right, so there's a bee on the ground. I walked right over it, right? Sometimes you see these bees on the ground, right? It's just sitting there. I don't know what it's doing, if it got injured or it's trying to go somewhere or do something. It looks a little bit more like a wasp, a little bit, with sort of that body on the end and sort of that thin part in the center, you know, as opposed to kind of the full body of the honeybees. So I walked right over it. I mean, my feet were like right there, and all of a sudden I looked down and I was like, another bee on the ground. Like, what's going on? Why is there a bee on the ground? Right? Like, what's happening? And, you know, sometimes you're growing up, you think, oh, the bees will, you know, sort of grow or nest like in the ground instead of like up high or whatever, right? You sort of look around like, is there, you know, some type of wasp nest or hornet's nest or something? So anyway, I wanted to show you that. I wasn't gonna go live until I came over here, and then all of a sudden I was like almost right on top of it. I was like, oh, should I step on it? Or, you know, as a kid, like sometimes you get in like the, you know, like whatever insect is near you, whatever, you step on the insects, you know, you get the fly swatter, whatever. So, but it is warm here today. It's like, definitely is already spring. So, and I'm already breathing heavy. So you wonder if even just doing live, showing the bee or the wasp, whatever it is, right, it just makes me too tired or whatever. I gotta walk back over here and go sit down for a little while. So I was talking to my mom. I was telling her, I was like, every time I come out here, it's like all of a sudden the jacket that I'm wearing or whatever is like too hot, or the sun is too bright. It's like it always feels like it should be a lot colder than it is. It's like, you know, we just had snow a couple weeks ago. It lasted for a couple days, so, you know, why is it hot already now, right? It's like the changes in the temperatures, right? You got the ponds out here, okay? These ponds, the water, obviously a little bit muddy and stuff. Different animals and birds live all around in here. So, and looks like this is typical. We're getting the overflow of garbage. So we got, I don't know exactly what you call it, visitors to the park or tourism or whatever. I probably technically wouldn't call it tourism, but everything's overflowing. Not everything, but, you know, garbage right there. So obviously some people are, you know, bringing stuff here, stuff like that. So they still got all this sort of work that kind of will be sort of incomplete, I think, you know. And the fields and stuff are going to be so muddy and wet just for so long. So I'm going to have to sit down over here, take off my jacket already. And there's a pile of snow over there. See? You see the pile of snow? And it's like I'm sweating outside already. There's a big pile of snow over there. And it's got to be over 50 degrees right now. Right? It's just weird spring weather. Anyway. I mean, it's so weird. You got hot fireplace, right? Pile of snow, 50-degree weather, and I'm so hot already. I'm gonna set this up right here. See if I get this going. I can just set it here. And I gotta take out my jacket. It's like days like this, you don't know. It's like, do I need the hat and the gloves? You know, you're like, yeah, because if I get outside, it's going to be so cold. I'm wearing, you know, I wore sandals today. Just outside or whatever. Oh, man. It's like, I'm sweating already. Maybe it must have been bee. Just looking at that bee right there, you're like, It's like I can't really sit still anywhere. It just doesn't make any sense, right? It's like it's with the sun coming down. It's like it's got to be over 50 degrees. You got a pile of snow, a bee on the ground, like. March 1st today, 2021. First day of spring, maybe, I don't know. You know. Like damp. Even the sweat, just like damp on my skin. The glasses are fogging up. I still haven't got glasses in a while. In the summer, this wall right here gets so hot. It like radiates heat. The sun comes on it like it is now, and it's like 15, 20 degrees hotter than the outdoor air temperature. So it just brings off all this heat. I don't know if they want to keep the fire on in the summer or what they're gonna do, you know. I mean, with the temperature changes, such erratic weather patterns, you know, you almost say like, you know, why even have the fireplace, right? You know, the idea of, oh, it's gonna snow, you'll sit outside by the fire when it's snow, you know, but then when it snowed, the wind covered all this inside area with snow anyway, and the cushions got all wet. Same with the rain patterns, right? You pack all the rain into a month or 2 months or 3 months, right? A lot of times somehow you come down here, you know, so much wind, it doesn't make any sense, right? It blows like a heavy, you know, grocery bag or, you know, extra grocery sack off the table, whatever you like. How does the wind do that, right? You know, it's like gale force winds. It doesn't make any sense, right? So you're like, I have no idea, you know. I mean, all that old stuff you grew up with, you know, weather should do this and do that, you know, gradual season changes, you know, if it's going to be a more extreme pattern, right, it'll, you know, you'll notice it earlier in the season. None of that really applies anymore, you know. I don't know what that is, some animal over there or something. Sounds really odd. Sounds very odd. It's a little bit much to go think about that. A bird, a frog, or a toad or something. I don't even want to go over there, man. You hear that? I don't have any comments right now. You'll never find where that is. You'll go over and you think, oh, it's on the ground over there. Then you'll look up, it's on the roof of this thing or whatever. I mean, that you can hear that bird over there, but it doesn't sound the same. you just think, oh, maybe it's something injured, right? It's an injured bird or something. You go, people growing up or whatever, you'd find like an injured bird. You're like, oh, bird's in shock or whatever. We got to take it to the Humane Society or whatever. Put it in a cardboard box, get the blanket, a little bit of water or whatever. Save that animal or whatever. Apparently that noise has stopped. Can't really go over there either because it's somebody's. A lot of these apartments are on the first floor. They have like a door to go outside, right? Some of the first floor units have doors to go outside, so it's sort of like somebody's patio area or something. It's not really part of this area. Here's the gym door right there. That, I don't know, is that? Let's see if I point. That door goes into the gym. You can go exercise or whatever. I guess you have reserve times, and then that's the door just into the TV area or whatever. And then off that way, there's just other apartments with their own doors out, sort of a patio type area. They don't really have walls, but they have like landscaping, sort of like hedge plants. The air feels good though. And you get so much moisture in the park field outside, that big patchy areas of grass with so much water, so much moisture, they can't really get evaporated, and the ground is always staying mushy, right? It's somehow, when it's dry, it's not raining, it evaporates or creates sort of a dampness in the air that's not, a specific humidity like you'll find farther east of the United States, right, where you're perspiring all the time, or sort of that at a 55, 60 degrees, sometimes that humidity is sort of a comfort, kind of keeps the body a little bit warmer if it's not raining, right? You don't really get that here. You get sort of that cold dampness, but because there is so much moisture in the grass or the field or whatever, it's not muddy, right, but it squishes down, right? You get sort of that damp, almost sort of fresh air, if there's flowers too. There's not a lot of flowers here. There were some for a while. I don't know if there's going to be more in the summer. But what you end up having is you sort of have a damp grass area, different ones, and then that sort of creates kind of this cooling moisture in the air. And then if it's spring or summer, you'll also get sort of the flowers blooming. And it's sort of like this lake type environment where you have sort of non-salinated water, lake water, damp grass that gives off this moisture, kind of a wet sort of moisture. And then you have the flowers. It makes, sometimes you feel kind of good. Your body feels a little bit good, like, oh, I'll go exercise or whatever. I mean, obviously I was talking about my body, but it doesn't really feel like that at all. But I remember that a little bit kind of from high school, middle school, right? In the summer or whatever. It would get hot later in the day, but with so much moisture in the grass and everything, right, it kind of gives off that sort of damp moisture, not humid, and also not, down around sort of like Florida and stuff, where you get that heavy ocean seawater wind coming up and that humidity, right, which creates a different environment in different seasons, right? I mean, you could almost be totally warm in the winter, depending on the foods and stuff you eat, right? But that was the other thing. If it rains in the summer, right, you're sort of like out here. If it rains in the summer and that damp sort of that air in the night, you'll get really cold. People could get hypothermia in the winter or whatever if you're out with a shirt, t-shirt and stuff, because you think it's going to be hot. Gets down to that 50 degree level, 55 even. You get that rain at night, you're out, you can get hypothermia. Whereas somewhere, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, and then down south, right, south along that, to Georgia or Florida or whatever, usually doesn't get that cold at night, but even the humidity somehow keeps everything sort of insulated a little bit more at that sort of medium to upper temperature, right, 60, 65, right, it rains, but you're like, you get cold a little bit, but somehow the humidity and everything, it's like you feel like, oh, I'll just kind of keep running, or, if you go for a run or whatever like that, right? So there is a little bit of a difference. You can sort of play the positives and negatives. Of course, 85, 90 degrees with 45, 50, 60 humidity, right? You're like, outdoors you're going to be sweating nonstop, right? So... But same with the dry cold, right? You get that dry snow, and the ground is totally dry. The dirt is really hard and packed. It's like that movie, right, that I was watching with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon and Casey Affleck, right? Somehow they're on a salted, almost desert winter field. It's like at the end of their trip. Casey's walking across. He's getting that bug on his face, his hair. It goes up into his nose. He basically dies right there. And then they're each kind of watching each other for different stages. Casey had to jump off that rock. He goes right down. Matt did something before that, right? It's like they're friends or whatever. They got to do all these tasks. And then at the end, maggots on top, somehow walks out of that field desert area that's like caked, like, you know, like half a centimeter of salt or something. You know, gets in like some type of, you know, luxury SUV with Luke Wilson, and Luke Wilson's, I don't know, his daughter or his son in the back seat. You know, he's been on some, you know, lost in the wilderness, right, for like 5 days with Casey. It's like, what in the heck? Now you're sitting in like a luxury SUV on some family drive or whatever. They didn't explain how he knew him or didn't know him, right? So, and then I guess Casey, I saw the ad, it came up on the Amazon. I guess Casey was doing a movie with Dakota Johnson, and I can't remember who the third actor was in the movie or whatever they were doing. I can't remember the name of it either. They just posted up or whatever. But I mean, that dry, you know, air or whatever in snow, winter, you get the dry skin, right? People used to talk about their feet cracking, right? You know, you grew up with the Tenactin ads, tough actin Tenactin, right? You spray the feet or whatever. Everybody's going to athletic clubs in the winter. They got the, you know, indoor sauna or steam room. Everybody got to take showers or whatever. There's a pool or whatever. There's, you know, lifting weights, right? You got sort of the nice, you know, or whatever. Anybody's running in and out. However, whether it's nice or clean or whatever, those athletic clubs, right? Everybody ends up getting, you know, they got to protect their feet from athlete's foot or whatever, right? Well, in the winter where it's real dry and cold, you know, you eventually get a little bit of callus, or a lot, as the guys get older. You know, you get 30, 40 years old, right? When you're a teenager, you're like, you know, you get like a little callus or whatever. It's like nothing or whatever. As you get older, you get more or whatever on your feet. And then somehow that area or whatever in the cold, dry winter, right? Here, not necessarily here, but as you go east of here into Montana or Idaho, Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, right? Real dry climate and cold in the winter. You know, the foot, part of that foot will dry, and then the skin, basically, whatever you're walking on or whatever, that skin cracks, and it'll bleed a little bit in your shoe or whatever at home, and then you got a problem because you can't really walk. You know, anybody that works in a restaurant, right? All those people that go to the ski areas or whatever, you know, they go out or whatever, you know, if they get a crack on their foot, it's like, it's such in pain, because when the foot steps on it, right, that crack just in the skin just keeps opening. It can't really heal. You need all the cream, you know, you can get on it. You know, something with petroleum, something with medicated. You know, you don't just want like a lotion, because they put a lot of alcohol in it now that evaporates so quick. It's like it doesn't seem to help that much. You need something with the petroleum in it or whatever, so it stays sort of moist or lubricated in the skin. And then as you walk through the day or whatever, it can heal. You know, you maybe put on an extra sock to keep the moisture in or whatever. You know. But if it keeps cracking, it's just like hurts over and over and over again. You know, it can sort of be the end of, you know, fun, you know, for the season or whatever, the winter or the summer or whatever. So anyway, I got a low battery there. I want to probably take the phone upstairs and charge again. I'm cooling down a little bit, but it is going to warm up. I hope you're doing well. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.